The last couple of weekends have been light here at West Point, but that's not the case this weekend, as it's a jam-packed slate for home sporting events. Fall sports are in full effect, but we're going to get started with winter sports. Believe it or not, hockey season is here, as the #1 team in the country, the Boston College Eagles, come in to take on the Black Knights at Tate Rink on Friday night. Coach Riley knows in order for this team to perform at its best this season, they're going to have to face challenges, and what better way to start the season than against the #1 team in the country?
I mean, if you were to ask any of our guys, this is what they want to do. You know what? They want to have an opportunity to play against the best, and Boston College has some of the best players in the country, year in and year out. So, like I said, this is an opportunity that that all of our guys are looking forward to. We know that it'll be a challenge, but like I said, our guys have worked hard, and we're excited for Friday night.
In addition to the hockey team on Friday night, the Army West Point volleyball team is in action Friday night at Gillis Fieldhouse against Lafayette, and they have a big match on Saturday as the Star Series continues in 2015-2016 after a couple of postponements a few weeks ago, as the volleyball team takes on Navy at 7 p.m., and they look to avenge last year's 2 losses to the midshipmen.
Well, it's exciting to be home and play in front of our home crowd, and it's competitive because it's Army-Navy, but this team is looking for revenge from last season. Army volleyball has been successful. Army West Point volleyball has been successful against Navy, and we want to keep that tradition going. And we were young last year and had some injuries, so right now we're looking forward to playing them with fire, heart, and determination.
In addition to the volleyball team, 2 more teams are home at West Point on Saturday night, and we'll start with the Army West Point women's soccer team, who's coming off a home win of Lehigh last weekend, a 2-0 shutout, as they're halfway through their conference slate and look to continue to build in the standings as they welcome in a very good American squad on Saturday night.
I mean, I think that the truth of the matter is the Patriot League is competitive in every game. You don't worry about where anyone is in the standings when you're preparing for the Patriot League games, because you know every game that you're going to come out, people are fighting for points and fighting for the opportunity, and that this is a race that's going to come down to the end of the season.
After last weekend off, the Army West Point women's rugby team returns home Saturday night at the Anderson Rugby Complex. 2 weekends ago, Army took on Penn State and Lindenwood, 2 very good nationally ranked teams, and they're hoping what they learned in those 2 games will help them against AIC on Saturday. AIC is a team that Army's already seen this year. They defeated them by 3 points in their season opener on the road.
After last weekend when we went up against Penn State and Lindenwood, we really needed the week off. It was probably the hardest weekend of rugby that you could probably put together, and you know, we had some injuries and some people pretty banged up, so this has really been critical. What we really need to do now is to kick on from that weekend and not slip back into you know, any bad habits. The girls came away with a really good feeling of where they needed to be and what they needed to do to get and perform at a higher level, and it'll be disappointing if we don't sustain that. So that's probably going to be the biggest issue that we're going to have, because they're jumping on to a bit of AIC is getting into some form. They beat Norwich for the first time, so you know, they're going to come in with some confidence as well.
The Black Knights golf team will take part in their first tournament that they host this year when they take on the Yale Bulldogs in the Bush Cup. This tournament's in its first year, and it's named after former President George H.W. Bush. The tournament, however, will not be at West Point. It's going to be at famed Wingfoot Golf Club, which has hosted the U.S. Open in the past, most recently in 2006, and will host the U.S. Open again in 2020.
The Walker Cup format is we'll be playing foursomes in the morning, which is alternate shot, and then in the afternoon we're going to play single matches. So there's going to be a total of 12 points, 4 in the morning, and then 8 possible points in the afternoon. So for us, we've had the opportunity to get some great practices in with not only alternate shots but also playing in single matches. So this is great preparation leading up to the Navy match that'll take place next weekend, and so the guys are fired up and ready to go.
And rounding out the action at West Point on Sunday is going to be the men's soccer team when they take on Lehigh 2 p.m. at Clinton Field. The Black Knights are only 2 games into their conference slate, with their match against Navy being postponed until November 3rd. Russell Payne knows this is a critical game if his team's looking to pick up some points and move up in the Patriot League standings.
They're ultra critical. You know, you don't get that many opportunities in the league to go up in the standings, and you know, you always want to try to take maximum points, whether you're home or away, but especially at home with the limited opportunities that begin to come your way as October rolls along.
A couple of teams in action on the road this weekend for Army. The men's and women's swimming and diving team get their season started against Binghamton. Men's rugby will look to stay undefeated as they take on new conference foe West Virginia. The sprint football team is going to play on ESPN3 as they take on Mansfield, as they also look to remain undefeated, that team yet to give up a point this year. And the Army football team in action at Mikey Stadium against Duke Saturday at noon. For a full preview of that game, check out the Football Report on our YouTube channel. That's going to do it for your weekend preview. For Night Vision, I'm Zach Daly.